Hey everybody, Tim and Miranda here for today's review of Doctor Who. Story number 212, two-parter, The Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone.
That's such a weird name for it, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
It should just be Stone.
I don't know, maybe it's because, like, Amy thinks she's turning into an angel?
Oh, yeah, okay,
But
maybe.
I don't know. What did you think?
I like this one because you get to see River again.
Mm-hmm.
And I always love her. Like, she's so...
She is the best.
She is. She's so sassy and funny, and
so
she fits right in.
I have not ventured into, like, the Big Finish of Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Big Finish does, like, the audio stories.
Mm-hmm.
But there are stories of River meeting, like, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Amazing.
Like, all the previous Doctors and stuff. Because as far as, like, television, we only see her meet 10, 11, and 12. Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. So it's actually like her going back. So I don't know how good they are, but I just imagine they are phenomenal.
Amazing.
Like, because it's the original Doctors doing the voices as well.
Oh, that's
so. It's not just like fake. Like it's the actress of River and like Tom Baker, Peter Davison, stuff like that, like interacting.
Okay, that's really good. Actually.
So I too really like the story, but I have two problems with this story. Mm-hmm. As much as I love it, I think it's really, really good. It's a classic Moffat story because Moffat wrote Blink, the first Angel story, as well as Silence in the Library, the first River story. And this is like the melding of those two. Mm-hmm. And it's perfect. Like you said, it's great to see River. It's great to see the Angels.
Yeah, and I like the Angels, like, from Blink and everything. They actually are one that I like seeing again.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So my two problems with this story, I'll say one and then you brought up the second one. My first problem is how do I say this? Because I do love it, so I don't want this taken the wrong way. But he does like repeat Silence of the Library. Like, do you remember that story pretty well?
Pretty well, yeah.
So that's the like the shadows are taking over the people in the spacesuits, the Rasha Natu or whatever. And in that one, after the shadows eat them, they can still communicate by using like the little tracker. And they do the same fucking thing in this one where he like Shadow or Angel Bob, and they throw in some stupid techno babble like they're using my vocal cords, blah blah blah. And I was like, you're using the exact same fucking one trick pony from Silence of the Library you had to come up with a reason for the Angels to communicate.
Yeah.
Because it does add that anticipation where you're just like, oh my God, he's talking to the Angels. Yeah. And that's great, but it's literally the exact same from Silence of the Library.
Gotcha.
And I mean, that's a minor detail, but it's like, we've seen that. We
but I mean, it is, like, I think it's pretty amusing when he's talking to Angel Bob over the communicator anyways. So it does add, like, that comedic part to this one as well. But I do understand what you're talking about. I get it.
Because we've seen it before. Why don't you go ahead and do the second one?
So the second one... So because of the episode in Blink and stuff, when the TARDIS disappears and they're all looking at each other, because they can't move when they're looking at each other. But in this episode, there's so many times that the Angels are looking straight at each other, and they're still able to move and crawl and whatever. Like they're always they're always like so next to each other that you're like, okay, what happened to if one of them's looking at the other that they can't move? That did because that did kind of throw it off in this one.
Agreed.
Sure.
Which that's one of those, like, realistically, to be honest, I didn't even pick up on it until you brought it up. Because, like, you were like, wasn't the whole point in Blink that if they looked at each other, they can't move? Yeah. And, like, in this one, they're little narrow hallways, and there's hundreds.
It cannot move.
And there's hundreds of them, so they're always looking at each other. And I was like, that's actually a good point. Which, to back up just a brief second, that is one of my favorite moments in this, is when they're talking about the Oplids, which are like the natives of that planet. Yeah. And that's actually my favorite moment when they're talking about like, oh, they have two heads. And Amy's like, well, that must make divorces tricky. And then that moment when the Doctor and River look at each other like, oh, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. all of these statues only have one head. Like, it's so perfect.
But also, something that I just realized, now that we're talking about this and the natives and stuff, at the end of this episode, there's like 20 of them with wings and everything.
For what?
For the angels.
Oh, the angels? Okay.
They're not the natives, like, because the natives don't have wings or anything like that. Right. And at the end of this episode, when they're
I think that's the point. Like the statues aren't the natives. The statues, it's a rescue mission.
Remember, there was only one angel on the ship.
Oh, that's right. And then the rest are like all degraded and everything. Yeah,
but when they
well, isn't that like they're feeding off the energy? Because if they feed off of it, aren't they getting more and more powerful though?
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
A lot. This is definitely
one. You might
one.
be right because that. Yeah.
This is definitely one where you don't want to think too much. Just be happy you see River. Be happy that you see the angels, and you're like,
it is a good episode, you guys. Minus all the little details that we're now digging into.
This is one. When Blink first came out, a lot of people had written, and they're like, "Well, why doesn't she just kind of close one eye and then the other?" And Moffat's like, "Fuck you! Have you ever tried that?" And so he put it right into this, and sure enough, like that is really kind of hard.
She has like one closed, and she's like,
"Have you ever tried not blinking?" So we get that. Realistically, I like the first episode a lot more. The second episode kind of dragged a little bit once it became like gravity and stuff like that, and Amy just has to keep her eyes closed.
Which that was kind of weird, but that's okay.
Yep. And this episode, I don't know, I've lost track of how many episodes into the season we are, like 4 or 5. But this episode is the first episode to really call out the crack.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it since the first episode, but it's always like the TARDIS disappears and then the crack's behind him. This is the first episode where the Doctor's like, okay, something's wrong, and we have to kind of fix this.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Crack. Probably the worst part about this episode for me is the ending. I don't even remember the ending. I had forgotten where Amy's just kissing the Doctor. Like, it was so odd.
Like, because they go back because he's like they go back and because she said that she was hiding something as well. And then with the wedding dress and stuff. And
then she's like, let's do it right here, right now. And it was very awkward to me. Like, I don't know. Because that's my favorite thing about Amy and the Doctor is they don't have that type of relationship. And then...
I mean, it was the same with Donna as well. Like, they didn't have that relationship. And I thought it was the same with her. But...
And this scene just kind of threw it off. And I was like, wait, what? What was that? So, I don't know. We'll have to keep going and see. Because I totally forgot that had ever happened.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts for... River or the Angels?
No, it's nice seeing River. It's funny.
God, she's amazing.
The
whole opening scene where she's like trying to steal everything. And the Doctor's like, it's ancient Gallifreyan. Well, what does it say? Hello, sweetie. And then he's like, I'm not always going to be there to catch you. You will. You will. And so it's great. I love River so much. Spoilers. Oh, where he's like, this is Professor River song. I'm a professor? What? Spoilers. Like, God, everything about River. Like, just her charisma, I guess. Like, she's such a great character.
And then, like, Amy asking what she has and stuff. And the Doctor's like, yeah, that's her diary. And he just, like, is... Stupid bitch. You and your diary. You and your spoilers.
Which, this is the first one where... Amy, flat out, she's like,
are you guys married?
You guys are married, aren't you? And she's like, do you honestly think the Doctor would ever do something like that? Yeah. I think you two are married. Spoilers. Like, I absolutely love, just River. She's
just so funny.
So great.
But when she's going back to the prison, and she's like, in the handcuffs... You, me, handcuffs.
It's like old times.
No.
Maybe when you're older. It's great. And what's sad is as we keep going, we'll finally start to get to those moments where the Doctor knows her more. And she's like, what about this? So I love seeing it. It's great. And I mean, Moffat is like a genius where how I want to see like if he has his own diary of just like all of this, keeping track of it. Because like I get a headache watching Back to the Future, where I'm like, wait a minute, like where this fits here and this, and like he has like this grand plan laid out, and it's really really well done.
Yeah, it
so
is.
it's impressive. That's all I got.
That's all I have too.
That's it. Okay.
Yep.
For those who have seen it, what did you guys think about seeing River? About seeing the angels? So on and so forth. The Game of Thrones actor, we didn't even talk about it. Doesn't matter.
No,
for those who have seen it, what'd you think? Go ahead, let us know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we will see you guys next time for The Vampires of Venice.